Welcome to Authentically You Podcast, the podcast that dives deep into a transformative journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance, and self-expression. I'm your host, Kris Dano, and I'm here to guide you on a path towards embracing your true, unapologetic, authentic self. In this podcast, we'll embark on a quest to uncover the secrets to breaking free from societal expectations, shredding the masks we wear, and stepping into our own power. Each episode will explore the questions and challenges that our listeners face on their personal journeys, providing practical insights and heartfelt advice. But it doesn't stop there. Authentically You Podcast goes beyond just answering your questions. We're here to introduce you to a diverse lineup of incredibly knowledgeable professionals who will share their expertise, wisdom, and experiences. We'll bring you thought-provoking interviews that will inspire and empower you. This is Authentically You Podcast, unleashing life on your own terms. I'm Kris Dano, and together, let's unlock the power within and live life authentically. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're in this together. Welcome to Authentically You Podcast today, and let me introduce our guest. She is a digital marketer, and managing different social media accounts made her realize how important it is to stay authentic with yourself and your content. In her personal experience, she has been showing a facade of someone she is not until she came to a point where she realized how draining living such a life was. It took a long time for her to realize and start her self-discovery journey and start finding her true self. But she's on that journey now and enjoying every step of it. Welcome to the show, Kris Dano.
Thank
Hello.
you. It's so good to be here.
Welcome to the show. I'm so excited for you to be here and tell us all about your journey. And for those that have see the video, look at her sparkly microphone. I love it. It's a rainbow. Welcome to the show, Kris. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us your story and how you've got to where you are now.
Yes, so I am from Philippines, and yes, it's as of you introduced, my name is Kris, and I was growing up in a family where it's kind of like very traditional, and we were like you kind of like live how other people live, like especially who you are surrounded with. And I've been seeing like the way how they do is just like how they were also taught by their elders or their mothers and fathers. And we were kind of like told to like, oh, you should do this when you grow up, you should take this, or like this is good for you. And so growing up having that kind of like made me think of like, oh, this is good for me without really thinking what's good for me. So I took, even in my college days, I really took up what other people were like pushing me. They're not really forcing me to do so, but it's kind of like it's still like you kind of like embody it because you hear it a lot. And as someone who grew up in that environment, and someone also who takes into like, oh, I want to be loved, or I want to please people that I care, I love. And so that's why I took up what my parents kind of like feel like I should. So I took up electrical engineering and I graduated. But before I graduated, I think in my last year in college, I attended some events of like women events or any of those events, just like to try out to put myself into like meeting new people, because I was in a different city. So I'm like, oh, I want to get ready for after my college days. And I met this people, and everyone there is just amazing, been doing what they love doing, and you can really see how they kind of like talk about what they're doing, exactly, like passionate about what they do in life. And I'm just like, you can make money out of that? Like, I love doing this, but I was told you can't. And so I was kind of like really amazed. And after that event, it made me realize really about my whole life, like, did I really enjoy everything? And why was everyone just so open, like just being by themselves? In my case, I was, but I was also trying to please people. So it's kind of like walking in an eggshell every now and then too, to make sure that I don't offend anybody. And just everyone there is just like, they're not being rude, but they're really try. I think it's because they're kind of like mindset, like it's a different
Yeah.
mindset. And I grew up in a different mindset too. So it was just this eye-opening for me at that time. And so after that, everything just went into like my journey. I think that's where my journey started. And I just keep on moving forward and started to find myself after that. And the tipping point recently was my dad's death last year, where I really kind of like pushed myself more into like, yeah, I need to be open more, because when my dad died, I was bottling a lot of emotions and
Yeah.
I was becoming more depressed because everyone is just like telling me like, oh, during the funeral, you should do this or you should, because again, I grew up in a very traditional family. So, and I'm like, I have to mourn first to stop doing this. And so
Yeah.
I really kind of
Well
like got
done.
into the tipping point into like, okay, I'm done. I have to tell people whenever I'm not doing well that I can't please you. I'm in the morning stage and I can't juggle everything. And so after that, I just kind of like discovered that it felt so good just being honest and just letting it go. So
How
yeah,
was the reaction with people when you're actually being your authentic self and telling them how you're feeling and saying sort of back off a little bit, I need my space to mourn? How was your reaction to people?
oh, they were shocked. Like they were like, "Did you change?" And then in a way, they were kind of understanding because it's like, oh, she's going through a lot. But
Yeah.
after that, like I still stayed the same, and people were like, "Oh, she changed after that," or like, "Oh, she's not who she is now," and like they're
Yeah.
just being shocked still. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Well, usually it takes a big, massive shift in someone's life to actually make you realize, hold up, life is pretty short. And am I doing everything in my power to be happy and fulfilled? And am I doing things that I love in my life? It's a really good time to check in, I guess. Have a check in with
Yeah.
yourself and go, I mean, we shouldn't wait for tragedy to happen, but sometimes it's something like that that triggers you and goes, holy heck, let's reassess and see where I'm at and what can I change in my life to make myself feel better. Are you still doing electric engineering?
Yeah, I did. I took it up, but then I know it wasn't for me. So I transitioned into discovering what I want. Because at that point, I was like, oh, I love so many things. Where should I start? So I started with writing. And
Yeah.
after writing, I got like a sponsorship with one of my lifestyle blog that I did before. And so I did it more into writing until I went into SEO because I work with kind of like go back and forth with the blog writing. And so after SEO, I work with different clients because I became a freelancer after that. And from SEO to content creation to videos to marketing finally. And now I'm doing marketing or digital marketing because I enjoy just diving into different platforms, figuring out algorithm and just enjoying how to curate content based on trends and it changes every now and then, so it's fun. It never gets boring.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible. So how do you feel like you're going with your authenticity? Do you feel like you're there? Do you feel like you've still got a little bit to go? Do you feel like it's going to be an ongoing process? Where do you think you stand?
I think for me it's an ongoing process because I experienced it myself when as I said earlier, like when I after college, I thought I was already trying to be myself. Like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Yes, go for it. And then I discovered after a couple of years, when like something happened in my life, like impactful, may it be something amazing, meeting new people, or may it be like a bad thing, like just my dad. I keep on discovering myself again and like, oh, I'm actually like this. I prefer this more. And so I felt like it's really a journey, no matter what it is, and no matter what impacts my life, I would probably still discover a part of my life that I have not discovered yet.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you feel now to where you were, I don't know, 5 years ago studying for electrical engineering? and now? What are the biggest differences?
Oh, it's a huge difference. I felt like I'm happier. To be
Yeah.
honest, that's the biggest part of it. I'm happier now, and I feel like I really found something that motivates me every day. Because
Yeah.
before it was like, what am I doing? Like, seriously, what am I doing right now? And then the next day and the next day, and then you try to find other things that you felt like is for you. Like, for example, vices. I'm not proud of it, but I kind of like dig a little bit into it. And so it wasn't good. It didn't feel right. Every morning I just feel bad, like, oh God, what did I do last night? And then I still do it because again, you don't have anything, like you're not motivated because you don't love what you're doing. And
Yeah.
so now I'm so happy, or I'm happier, at least. Maybe I get happier in the future. and and now I felt like it really kind of makes you feel like, oh God, I can breathe now, or it's
Yeah.
good to
Oh,
breathe today.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's put really good. I think being in your true alignment of what you're meant to be doing is such a amazing thing. Like you've said, you are so much more happier. When I've had this concept of this podcast for I don't know, a long time,
Yeah.
and I've only sort of just put it into place, a couple of months ago, and it has just been the easiest journey. Everything has fallen into place. I've had loads of guests interested in being on the podcast. I am just so passionate about it. And I'm like, oh, there we go. I'm in alignment and everything's falling into place. I know this is where I'm meant to be going. Because when the universe is aligned with what you're meant to be doing, or you're aligned with what you're meant to be doing in the universe, everything starts happening. Opportunities come, ideas pop into your head, everything
Yes.
flows. It's so much easier. I think my biggest hurdle was thinking, what do I even do? How do I even start? But just starting, just doing the little bits, like organizing the image that I was going to use, thinking up a name, things like that. It was like, oh, cool. And then like a little step closer to the goal, and everything just went pshh, and it's just
Yeah.
such a amazing, amazing feeling. Do you feel like things are coming into place? Like you've got clients coming on board, you've got things happening in your life?
Yes, and I really feel like, because again of how I am being honest with myself, or just being authentic,
Yeah.
I can say what I felt like about, especially my clients' works, when I'm working with their work, that I can see also that I could help them with, in case of creating content, because it's the same with all the things in life, especially with creating content. If you don't feel like you're being yourself, it's kind of draining to keep on doing it, because sometimes most of the content they have to create it, like reels, for example. And it can be draining if you're like, oh, but I really don't want to do this because this is
Yeah.
not me, but okay, social media. And so I felt like I becoming better at like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is for you. I felt like you were happier creating this content because I can see how the content is. Maybe we should make this more, because this is I want you also to be happy, and I don't want to like be
Yeah.
draining you a lot with like, hey, create more of this and then this, because this is doing well. And no matter what doing well, if you're not happy, then it's not worth it. That's what I always believe.
Yeah. And you can, when you're, every person is different, aren't they? So one person might be amazing at reels and love it, and the other person might be, just despise reels. So it comes down to their authentic self and what makes
Yeah.
them happy. Because whatever you're doing when you're happy, it's going to be good stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing something where you're like, oh God, I have to do this, it's going to come out like, oh, sounds like she had to do that. Like, it's not going to be pure. It's not going to be wonderful. It's not going to touch all the hearts and souls that you need it to touch to work for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not very sustainable. There would really come into a point where you just stop doing it,
Yeah.
and then you become inconsistent, and then that would kind of like affect some part of your business, not just social media, but like any other things that you're doing that you're not happy. And that's why it's like you can outsource it to other people who is very good at something, because then you can focus on something what you really love doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. When you were talking about growing up, I just wanted to touch on this because our parents, as wonderful as they are, they influence us at a young age with everything. We learn everything from our parents when we're little. So it's really powerful stuff for parents to understand that what they say, whatever they come out with, however their actions are, what they tell their children, their expectations are all going on to that child. And that child is going to be grown up believing everything that you have told them. And that's where those expectations come in, as well as societal expectations, but we're just talking about the parental expectations. How did you sort of move away or realize, and you may have already said this, but there might be some more to it, when did you realize that not everything was or had to be exactly as expected of you?
I It was just the start of it. So it was just the networking part. Like I really felt like there's a way to do both. Like I can still make my parents happy, but also me happy. So I felt like I've still learned it from connecting with people, like attending events, especially because at that time there was like a lot of event apps coming in, like Meetup or like Eventbrite. So I was really like just interested into like checking the app out and joining communities that I never thought would actually help me start this journey of just being myself and meeting people, really just meeting the right people that would influence you in a good way is just life changing for me. And that is what made me go through it. And also having you're surrounding yourself with someone who would support that journey is also something really valuable. And that part would be friends in my case. And I also have a really good boyfriend who support me with self-discovery and self-improvement and
Wow.
self-development, like he kind of telling me this books or recommendations of other stuff that I could be doing that is good also for me, like podcasts, for example, or people that might be helpful for me to follow, or books. So yes, that kind of like made me realize that I can be doing something that other people won't expect me to do, especially people I love, but still make them happy and not be rude to them and be respectful as I can. I mean, there was a point where we have like a bit of a tension because I really pushed into, I'm not going to do that. But it's hard to really do that certain thing of telling them I can't. Like the no part is the hardest part.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like you can really find a way to keep building relation as long as you don't break that relationship, especially with someone you really love, you really care in your life. I'm not saying like, oh, if that person is not, it's telling you to do things you don't love, stop communicating with that person. No, I didn't really do that. I still communicated with my parents. I love them so much. But there's just I just really tried to still connect with them every now and then to let them know that I love them, but I can't do this.
Awesome. And you're right. There's always a way that you can tell someone or do something or actions in the kindest, genuine way. You can say no. You can say no very kindly. And even with speaking with people that you're not interested in, not vibing on their conversation. So they might be talking about politics in a really bad way and you just don't want anything to do with it, because if you stay, it might influence you. So you decide to say, you can let them finish, not take anything in, and say, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Hey, did you hear about the tea and coffee over there? Hey, did you hear about something and change the subject completely. You can be really kind about things. You don't have to listen to the things that you don't want to listen to. You don't have to be around the things that you don't want to be around. You don't have to be influenced into doing something that you don't want to do. There is a means and a way to get out of those situations in the most kindest way without offending anybody, right?
Yeah.
So how can individuals break free from societal expectations and embrace their authentic selves without fear and of judgment and rejection? Because judgment and rejection is probably the reason behind it all.
Yeah. I think the fear would creep in. It's not like it won't really be there. It would always creep in. Sometimes when you do the thing that you really felt like doing, when you sleep at night, we're just like, oh God, what if she thinks this way? Like I do have that moment of like I said this, okay, I'm gonna stick to this. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna be like telling them I don't want to do this. But then at night I would sleep, or like even just any time that would just creep in my head, like, oh my God, what would you think about it? What did she kind of like thought about me saying that to her? Is she mad right now? Is she upset? Won't she tell me anything? Won't she contact me anymore? Those kind of thoughts really creep into your head, and it can be a bit uh burdensome, or like it's scary. It can still be scary for me because I love these people. But the thing is, if you just believe in yourself, that you know what you're doing, or even if you really don't know where this is going, but you know yourself, this is what you want. And that just like keep on repeating it, that this is what I want, this is where I'm happy, but I want to be kind to people. So I want to tell them in a good way that I can't do this. And I'm not saying that their opinion doesn't count. I'm just saying that my opinion matters most.
Oh, absolutely. I like that too.
Yeah.
Your
And I,
opinion is the most important. I've got an example when I was pregnant with my little boy, and looking back now, it's just such another time where people are just giving you information and like stuff that you don't even need to worry about, but they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you should be doing this. You should be putting the milk in this, and you should be doing this, and you should be doing that. And you're just like, what? Oh my God. Everyone just back up a second and let me just think for myself. It is just a really hard time for a first-time mum to be bombarded with all the information, that a lot of it, looking back, is unnecessary. And the things like my little boy, when he was one, maybe just before he was one, no, he was walking by 6 months, he was in a little, we called it a little Zoomer, where he'd sit in and it had wheels and he could move around the house. It's like a little big thing anyway. But he was on his toes, so he'd push, obviously just trying to move around. He was on his toes, and we were told, oh, that's really bad for him. He's going to have walking problems. He's not going to be able to walk properly because he's going to be on toes and stuff. And I was like, okay, all right. And I did think about it a lot, and I was like, oh, but he honestly, he was having so much fun in it. I was like, I'm sure he'll be fine. And then I was like, well, I don't know anyone else in the world that has had problems with a child in a little Zoomer thing not being able to walk. And I was like, I'm just gonna keep him in there. And lo and behold, he walks fine and absolutely perfect. He loves going on his toes every now and then, going but that's like any other kid. And I was just, at hindsight, I was like, why would you say something like that? Why would you put so much pressure on a new mum who doesn't know what they're doing? There's no manual for having a child, and saying something like that. It was just, yeah, unnecessary. Those sort of comments.
yeah.
It's like breastfeeding and things like that. It's just, yeah. If you don't like it, go away. Move away. Go somewhere else. It's like the trolls on social media. If you don't like something,
Yeah.
scroll past it.
Yeah.
It's not. You don't need to say anything. What is the point? You're going to hurt someone's feelings. It's probably unnecessary, the comment that you're making. And what's the point? What is the point? Because I know there's a few trolls out there that are actually nice people, but when they get behind the keyboard, they say things in the wrong way. Because when you write words as well, you can't actually say what you're meaning, how you're meaning it as well, right?
Yeah, there's no tone, and it's harder to like perceive it. Like, what is she trying to say? Is this like in a good way or in a bad way? Is she rude or not? Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah, so at least you're thinking about it. Some people will just jump to the negative or jump to the positive, whatever they're jumping to. So that's there's a lot in the world that I want to fix. One step at a time. So self-acceptance is critical on the path of self-discovery. What strategies can listeners use to cultivate self-acceptance and embrace all aspects of themselves in your eyes?
For me, what works for me is the books. Number one, it would be like just read a book that would help you do that. Self-discovery book, like a mindset, for example, by Carol Dweck. Another one is to find a morning or a routine each day that would work for you. If it doesn't work for you, but it works for other people, then just do something about it, change it, improve it, just to fit how you are, how you do your day, how it makes you feel better each day. And that is for me. Mine is just like watering plants in the morning or making my bed, listening to a podcast, journaling, working out, and so much more. So it actually changed so much when I first started it. When I first started, I just started with journal. Like, I don't even know what to do. I was like, is there like a manual to do a journal? Like, is there a question I should be following? I had started that because all the books I read was like, oh, do journaling. Just write your thoughts, just write what people think of you and what you think about it and how you felt about it, anything you felt each day or how you want to start your day. And I just like, okay, so any other questions I should be writing here? I totally didn't know what I'm doing, but then I started getting into it, like, okay, I just want to do this. This made me feel better, just getting out the thoughts that I want to achieve or want to be feeling or looking forward for today. This is going to be it. And then I started adding more to my morning routine, and then it worked for me. And every day it just keeps me, it's kind of like an accountability buddy, but it's like an action you do each day to keep you aligned with how you are as a person and motivate you to become better.
Awesome. What would you say to someone that has got a morning routine because there is an influencer or a few influencers doing it and they are really struggling with it, but they want to do it because the influencers told them this is the morning routine that's for them. How do they know that it's not for them? What do they need to do?
Um, for knowing that it's not for them is that it doesn't work for you. You're not happy to do it. That's just one of the things that you already know, like a red flag that you know it's not for you because it doesn't work. It's you're not happy doing it and it doesn't motivate you to start your day. It doesn't make you get up after an alarm clock, then it's either it's not for you or maybe something else works, but it's not how it should be done. Like when they say workout, for example, workout an hour, maybe you should just do like a walk in the rooftop, or if you have a rooftop, or if you have a backyard that you can walk around for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and always start with one if you're too overwhelmed. So to be able to just get started and be able to do it is start with one that you felt like it's okay to do and you're motivated to do it after doing it for 4 times. If it doesn't work again, try to either change it or find another one. So let's say, for example, it's reading. You can read one chapter, or maybe if the chapter is like 20 pages, then just maybe find a section to read. Like if the section is one paragraph, and then you kind of like, oh, this is good. And maybe you can even like reward yourself, or like, oh, I'm gonna read two today because I felt happy. And you can then start improving it from there. Keep adding, keep um doing more that would again make you feel better, make you motivated to start each day. And it's still also in the alignment of becoming like a better version of yourself.
I love that. So doing the things that actually make you happy and not the things that you struggle with or put off or don't want to do, or just like it feels like a chore. Those are the
Yeah.
things that we need to change or tweak, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's not entertain the perfectionist side of you, because
Yeah.
when you're influenced by doing something, you're just like, oh, that worked for them and I really should. I should. If I didn't do that, I'm just not gonna do it. And sometimes it really did happen to me. And one thing that really creeps in my head is like, oh God, I'm a failure now. I can't start my day, I can't have a good day. Or like the next day, like, what's the point of doing it again if I really did fail yesterday? And that's probably because you're kind of like just a perfectionist part of you. And I think everybody have that part of them, or maybe most of us have it. And that's the reason why it's kind of like hinders you to do to find what really works for you.
Yeah, I know I've fallen for it many times. Like, this person, oh, they've said to do like the 5 a.m. club, getting up at 5 a.m. and doing all the
Yeah.
meditations and journals and all that. I was really excited. I did it like 2 days in a row. I even posted about it, but it's really unrealistic when I have a 3-year-old that doesn't sleep. Like, sleep is quite important in my house because I don't get a lot of it. So it never worked. And it frustrated me so much for so long because I was like, I have to do this. And
Yeah.
I don't. I have to adjust it. Maybe the meditation and the rest of it could be perfect for me, but at a later time, or when he's
Yeah.
at kindy, or whatever. So adjusting and being flexible, I found, was really important, and not taking everyone else's or the influencers routines so strongly, and I must do it. Just be a little bit flexible, because like you said, it may not be for you. We're
Yeah.
trying to build and move towards our authentic self, and every single person in the world is different and needs different things. So what works for one influencer may not work for you or even another influencer. So you've got to work out your self-discovery little morning routine. Well, everything to do
Yeah.
with self-discovery, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a journey, isn't it? There's ups and downs all the time. It's challenging, but it's so rewarding as well, don't you think?
Yes, I love it. Yeah. It's the rewarding part that makes you feel like, oh God, it's worth living.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
that, yeah.
And just being happy so much. Like, that's the one thing that everyone wants in the world, is to be happy. And to do that, it isn't, I mean, it's a journey, but it's not a difficult journey to get onto. There's
Yeah.
things to do, there's ways to do it, and it is just a magical journey. In today's world of social media, in a comparison culture, it's easy to lose touch with one's true self. What advice can you offer to help individuals reconnect with their authentic identities?
Um, First thing is, of course, to see and to find what you really want. Maybe do a detox. We call it like a social media detox,
Oh, I
and
like
just cut
that.
yourself for a bit and give yourself time. Like you don't have to take a month. Maybe a day would work for you. Maybe it's your work. Maybe that's where you're getting income from because you're like a content creator or something. Then just maybe a day, or even just give yourself 3 hours to just remove yourself from social media. Like take that out and write down what do you think you should be doing now. If you're listening to this podcast and that's where you kind of like went have your discovery, like, yeah, I want to be my authentic self, then yes, after this is start doing like write write down what you feel like you want to do now, and what have you been doing before that actually does not make you happy, does not make you feel better at all after creating a content or making them. And then just separate them, create like a two line, and focus more on the right side or the left side, or wherever you wrote the ones that you felt like you want to keep doing more because that is you. And after that, just do a rebranding. I know rebranding can really be a bit of a hard thing to do, especially in social media, because then a lot of followers are following you because of the other content you're producing, or because of all the content that you're producing. And if you stop producing the content that they're looking for, but is actually something you don't want to be doing at all, then that's fine. People will find you. People who is in alignment with you or who connects with you will find you. And this will take time. Yes, it would really take time, but they would find you. You would really find a way to connect with the right people and just keep producing the content that you love, you're having fun. And that would make a huge difference, because you're happier and you want to make more. So the more you create the content, the more you get seen by algorithm, and the more the algorithm will push your content. So it works better anyways, and you're also happier. So yeah, I felt like that would be the good place to start.
I like that. When even not even that long ago, maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, and before that,
Yeah.
I was posting content and I was just like, oh, I don't know what to post. Like, what am I meant to post? I mean, I've been told I need to do 3 a day and all those
Yeah.
expectations. And I would go through a little phase of like, yes, I've got all that. And then like 3 or 4 days were like, no, it's exhausting. I don't want to do it. And then again, and then down again. How can you, is that all about me not being in alignment and making sure that I am putting content out that is in alignment with me and that I'm enjoying more?
You can just, well, as I've said earlier, you can just start with something that you love. And then when you feel like it's not for you, just don't do it. Or maybe if it's already been out there and you just want to have that audience who like this kind of content, and just maybe just reduce it once in a while until it's totally gone and you have already rebranded yourself. And as for consistency with creating a content that you love, just remember again that consistency comes in different forms. So, for example, this kind of like consistent is probably five for people, five a day, five content a day. Um, but consistency can also be five today, two tomorrow, one the next day, two again, as long as you're showing up for yourself. And again, well, it's not just for yourself, it's social media. You also have your audience. So you show up for both, then that's still consistency in a way, because you're putting yourself out there. It's like a content. So if that doesn't work for you because you don't like what you're doing, it would really boil down to like what makes you happy, that what makes you want to show up every day. It's kind of the same into like what motivates you to wake up, like your alarm clock. If it rings, what motivates you to get up? Like, is it your morning routine? Is it like what you want to do every day? Or like, is it your goal? Is it your passion? Then it's kind of the same with content. If it's your passion to do, or to educate people, to show people something that would also be life changing for them, then it would really follow. Sometimes it's just because of your overthinking it. So just breathe and keep it simple. The consistency again is not always doing the same thing over and over again, but just doing something each day. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Oh gosh, that is really good. I completely understand that, and consistency. I love the way that you've said consistency comes in different forms. It doesn't have to be 5 a day every day. It can be 5, 3, 1, as long as
Yeah.
it's showing up for yourself and your audience.
Yeah, because showing
Brilliant.
up, oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Because showing up is still consistent. Like you're
Yeah,
consistently showing up for yourself or for your audience or for both of
yeah.
them.
And it is okay, awesome. Now I know and I understand that you have a freebie for the audience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I have a free consultation call for food bloggers because food bloggers are my client right now for food influencers. And if you're also someone who just wants to start your social media, but you don't know, I would be happy to still help you. So that's like a free consultation also. And I do have a book about how to kickstart your freelancing online. So if you're also a aspiring freelancer, anytime you just want to work online or you felt like working online is for you, then I also have a consultation for that. And I would be giving the link to Kirsty. So
Yep.
I think she would be
We'll
putting
put
it down.
we'll put them in
Yeah.
the show. We'll put them in the show notes. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Brilliant. So now I have just a couple of fun little questions for you. If authenticity were a color, what color would it be and why?
I think that would be I would be biased because I love pink. And if it's just like a color, the default would just be pink, just simply because it's a color that I love and then it's the color that makes me happy. Again, being consistent at what makes you happy. So I don't know if other people would have a
Of
would
course,
choose a
everyone
different
everyone
color.
is different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
but mine is like a pink because it's just light enough, but not too light. It still has a color. So
Yeah,
it's not like a bland one, but yeah.
brilliant. Okay, and if you could be an animal to express your true self, which animal would you choose and how does it represent you?
Oh, that would be a wolf because I felt like I love um getting people like being the leader of a pack and being able to just lead them into somewhere. I felt like I'm a lighthouse and I could see that in a wolf. And I just want to be that kind of person who would put everyone together and just being
Oh,
able to
wow.
like, oh, here we go, but not forcing you to like, here we go. If you
Yeah.
want to go, then that's fine. Go your way. But I just want to have everyone in here and howl as far as you can and
Oh,
roar. Well, it's not a roar
that's
because it's a howl.
awesome.
It's just like howl to and cheer you by howling. Like if you
Yeah.
have a win, I would howl for you. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. And
I love that. That's so
thank
cool.
you.
I haven't had anyone say wolf before, and the howling I hadn't even thought about when it came to wolf. Oh, that's so cool. So cool. Gold
Thank you.
star for you. If you had a magic wand and everyone in the world had to follow one ruling you created, what would it be?
Do what we want.
That
I
makes
think
you
it's
happy.
and it makes you happy. Do what you want that makes you happy. I feel like I'm being consistent as this word right now for the whole podcast. Just like do what you want. It makes you happy. I think it's because that's what I'm doing. And I'm really like, you know what? It works for me. And it would probably definitely work for you too. So yeah.
Absolutely. That's the yeah, you're right. That's the motto. That's probably going to be the title of our podcast is do what you want that makes you happy.
Thank
Because
you.
really that is what makes you happy is doing the things that
Yeah,
you love. So do more of it, right? Do more of
exactly.
it. And the last thing is, do you have any sort of last inspiration or thoughts or anything that you want to share with the audience?
Um, be consistently confident at what you do. I think
Ooh,
that's just a line that I really want people to know. Like whatever you do, if you believe in what you felt like you just put yourself in, you put your finger in, then just be confident with it. Like don't doubt yourself because everyone would doubt after you doubt. If you doubt yourself, then who would believe it? Unless, of course, if it's something really, really bad, then I wouldn't encourage you to do something like that. Don't be confident doing something bad. But if it's really in alignment in what you do, then consistently be confident on what you do.
love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being the most amazing guest on my podcast, Kris, the
Thank
Authentically
you.
You podcast. Thank you so much for being here and all your knowledge that you've shared with us. It has been a real pleasure.
Thank you also for having me.
No problem. And we'll see everyone again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Authentically You Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained some valuable insights. If you'd like to stay connected with us, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and follow us on social media. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Kirsty Impact Coach, or Become Authentically You on the Facebook group. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, and ideas for future episodes. Feel free to drop us a message or leave a review. Your input means the world to us as we continue to grow and improve. Remember, living authentically is a journey, and we're so glad and grateful to have you with us on this path of self-discovery and personal growth. Until next time, always remember to be true to yourself, embrace your uniqueness, and live life unapologetically, because you are truly remarkable just the way you are. This is Kirsty, signing off on the Authentically You podcast. Take care and keep shining bright.